لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. ليلة مع أمين الأمة. Tonight inshallah ta'ala with somebody who was given the name, the nickname or the title by the Prophet ﷺ being the trustee of the Ummah, the trustee of this nation of Muslims. Big honor. هذا أبو عبيدة عامر بن عبد الله بن الجراح. He was known by his nickname. Nickname is father of such and such, mother of such and such. But the real name is, his real name is not that many people know. His name was Amir. His father's name was Abdullah, and his grandfather was Al-Jarrah. So he was named by his nickname Abu Ubaidah, and then son of Al-Jarrah, even though that was his grandfather. Abu Ubaidah ibn Al-Jarrah was one of the handsome people. One of the, they were known, كان وضيء الوجه كما يقولون بهي الطلعة نحيل الجسم. He was somebody that when you see you would love, you would like to be around. ترتاح العين لمرآه وتأنس النفس للقياه. Somebody that's easy to get along with, somebody that's easygoing, as they say. تطمئن إليه الفؤاد. You feel comfortable around him. قال, he has all of these categories. Usually people who are soft like this, easygoing like this, would be always, would usually not be a good fighters or good warriors. But somebody like Abu Ubaidah, he was, as we described, as well as being not only a warrior, he was actually a leader in when it comes to war and battles and so on. قال شبهه المؤلف هنا قال كحد السيف نصل السيف رونقا وبهاء ويحكيه حدة ومضاء. It's just like the edge of a sword. When you see it, it's bright, it's shiny, it looks beautiful, and at the same time it's sharp. قال هو أمين الأمة أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم, the trustee of this ummah. He was described by another friend of the Prophet, Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah the son of Umar ibn Khattab رضي الله عنهما. قال ثلاثة من قريش أصبح الناس وجوها, وجوههم كصبيحة كالصبح منيرة مشرقة وأحسنها أخلاقا وأثبتها حياء. قال إن حدثوا لم يكذبوا وإن حدثتهم لم يكذبوا. أبو بكر الصديق وعثمان بن عفان وأبو عبيدة بن الجراح. He said 3 people of Quraysh, all of them from the tribe of Quraysh. They had so handsome faces and so great manners, and they were all humble, greatly humble. قال if they talk to you, they will never lie, and if you talk to them, they will never deny what you are saying. They will believe what you're saying. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Uthman ibn Affan, and Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. So he was one of them. He accepted Islam very early. The next day, the second day of Islam. First day of Islam was Abu Bakr and Sayyidah Khadija. Right next day, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq started calling on the closest friends of his, and one of them was Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. If we have to describe him with something else, actually we should have started with this. He was one of the 10 people who were given the news of Al-Jannah, promised Jannah. Or actually, the Prophet ﷺ told him, he said Abu Bakr fil Jannah, Umar fil Jannah. Then he said, he counted the 10 of them, and one of them was Abu Bakr, was Abu Ubaidah. Abu Ubaidah has been given the news of being one of the people who will be in heaven in the hereafter, even though he's still walking on earth. He was alive, but he was given, he had so good actions and good things that he was promised that he is in Jannah, he is in heaven. Now, he accepted Islam, as we said, the next day of Islam. So he witnessed the very harsh experience of Muslims in Mecca. Those days, actually years, 13 years, Muslims facing all kinds of persecution, of all kinds in Mecca. هاجر الهجرتين, he had to migrate the 2 migrations to Al-Basha and then to Al-Madinah. He fought with the Prophet ﷺ, where he witnessed all the battles between Muslims and their enemies. He was there attending. But something special happened to him in Ghazwat Badr, when he had somebody came his way from the enemy. And we know what happened in Badr is that even though Muslims migrated from Mecca, their enemies decide to come all the way to them to fight. The person who tried to come his way on the battlefield was so close to him, and every time he comes close to him, he comes his way, he tries to avoid him. It happens once, twice, more than once, that this person comes his way and he tries to avoid him. And he was a strong warrior. He doesn't want to defeat him or kill him. But since this person insisted and he came, every time he come across his way, he decided to fight against him, and he fought and he killed him. That person was his father, Abdullah ibn Al-Jarrah. It's not easy. You know, being humans, you know, it's not easy, you know, to come across, you know, a situation like this that you have to fight against your own father. But the marvelous thing about the friends of the Prophet ﷺ is that they have to put everything aside, even their own emotions as human beings, for their faith. For their faith. They put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala number one, and then anything else comes later. Those are enemies who tried every possible way for 13 years to eradicate Muslims, and they failed, but they still insist to use power. It was only until then that Muslims has been given the permission. After 13 years, they have been given the permission to fight back. But when they fight back, they would sacrifice anything, you know, even if they come across situations like this, as long as it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and that's why Allah revealed an ayah for him, the last ayah in Surah Al-Mujadala, the last verse in Surah, the chapter of Al-Mujadala, قال الله عز وجل لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله ولو كانوا آباءهم أو أبناءهم أو إخوانهم أو عشيرتهم أولئك كتب في قلوبهم الإيمان. Just recite the verse, or the translation of the verse, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described those who prefer, you know, or they stand against those who are against Allah, or those who oppose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, even though they could be their parents, their friends, their brothers, the closest people to them. Allah said, those people, Allah Azza wa Jalla, like, كَتَبَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمُ الْإِيمَانِ, like, cast faith in their heart, وَأَيَّدَهُمْ بِرُوحٍ مِّنْهُ, and supported them with a spirit from Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So again, it should be clear that that was a situation that somebody is fighting against you. But usually, talking to people who accept Islam, even though they still have some family members who are non-Muslims, you have to be as good to them as if they are Muslims, or even actually more. But that's different from a situation like they are fighting against you, or that they are trying to kill you. Trying to kill you, fighting against you, that's a different story. Now, it was not strange or wonderful, I mean like strange from Abu Ubaidah because he had such strong faith to do something like this. One day, another situation, that one day, subhanAllah, Muslims were so much trusted, even by their enemies, by non-Muslims. They knew they were so much fair in their courting system. If they judge between people, even if it's their enemies, they were so known for being just. So Christian people from far away, they came all the way to Medina asking the Prophet ﷺ to appoint like a judge from Muslims to go and judge between them as far as a transaction or an issue that has some money involved in it. They didn't trust anybody but Muslims. You know, when it comes to your rights and so on, you would really go for somebody that's trustworthy. It doesn't matter who this person is, as long as you know he is just. So they came all the way asking for the Prophet ﷺ to send like somebody as a judge, to judge between them, go and look at the case and issue his judgment. And the Prophet ﷺ told them, I'm going to send with you Al-Qawi al-Amin. Come back later in the day, just stay for a while and come back later. And I should be able to send with you Al-Qawi, the strong, somebody who is strong, Al-Amin, and trustworthy. And everybody was waiting, you know. Umar said, Wallahi, I never thought to be like a leader or a judge or Amir or anything, or get any position or be in charge of anybody, except in this day, I thought like, just to get this title. Something similar to this happened with Ali radiallahu anhu في غزوة Khaybar. So Umar radiallahu anhu came the next salah, and he was waiting, and the Prophet ﷺ, he was looking for somebody, and Umar قال يقول فتطاولت يعني وظللت أتطاول له حتى يراني. The Prophet ﷺ was looking after the salah finished like this, he was looking for someone, And Umar was sitting there and he said, I was trying to make myself visible to him, and so he will say, Umar, you go. But he actually kept looking until he found Abu Ubaidah, and he said, Ya Abu Ubaidah, قُمْ مَعَهُمْ فَقْضِ بَيْنَهُمْ. He said, oh Abu Ubaidah, go with these people and be a judge between them in what's, they are asking you to be judge. اقضِ بَيْنَهُمْ فِيمَا اخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ, in what they disagreed on. فَاجْتَمَعَ إِلَيْهِ الْقُوَّةُ وَالْأَمَانَةُ. He was described as being strong and being ameen at the same time, or trustworthy at the same time. He was also a leader of Muslims when the Prophet ﷺ sent an expedition towards the sea, the Red Sea, just to see what's going on in there in this area. And they didn't have that much food. And the Nabi ﷺ, all he sent with them was jirab min tamr, like a container or not big container of tamr, of dates, some dates. It could be a few pounds of dates. And Abu Ubaidah gave everybody like 1 day, every soldier was given 1 day per day. قالوا فكانوا يمصونها ويشربون عليها الماء. They used to put it in their mouth and kind of suck it all day and just drink water. That was all the food they got. Until, the story is long, until they found a big whale that came all the way to the, usually whales or some big fish, they might come out, I don't know what is the reason, but they might come out of the ocean. They found this whale and they were able to eat a lot of meat and even take meat back with them to Al-Madinah. Now, Abu Ubaidah was one of those who were around the Prophet ﷺ in Ghazwat Uhud when, Muslims initially won the battle, but then after that they were ambushed and they lost, and the Prophet ﷺ was endangered. He was almost by himself, with the exception of only 10 people around him, almost giving him a human shield with their bodies from the arrows and from everything coming from the enemy. One of those 10 people who were defending the Prophet ﷺ with their own bodies was Abu Ubaidah ibn Al-Jarrah, and he was the one, he was badly wounded. The Nabi ﷺ, the Prophet, peace be upon him, after that, دخل حلقات المغفر في وجهه. They used to have all of their bodies having the armor and shields and so on. So he was attacked so badly that part of this armor, of these things around his face, get into his face, the face of the Prophet ﷺ, and he was bleeding so badly. Then after the battle, Abu Bakr, the best friend of the Prophet ﷺ, was trying to help him, coming to help him. It was not easy. That's a metal thing that's bent and got to the face of the Prophet, and he cannot take it off. You have to take it off, take this metal part outside first, and then you can take it off. So Abu Ubaidah told, he kind of asked or called, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he said, أستحلفك بالله, let me do it, I just wanted to do it. And he did it with his teeth. He got it with his front teeth, and he held so strong. You're talking about a metal thing, and he grabbed it all the way outside from the flesh, from the cheek of the Prophet ﷺ, until he broke one of his front teeth. And he got to the other side, which was also inside the face of the Prophet ﷺ, and he broke his second front teeth, أسنان مقدم الفم هذه. قال أبو بكر وما رأيت وكان أبو عبيدة من أحسن الناس هتما. That affected the way he pronounced some letters later on, but Abu Bakr said, Wallahi, that was the most beautiful, how do you say hataman, if you have a defect, say, lisp, the most beautiful lisp I ever seen of Abu Ubaidah, mainly because that was done, or that happened to him because he was trying to rescue the Prophet ﷺ or help him. On the day of As-Saqifa, after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, he just died a few hours ago, and everybody was waiting in this kind of tent, trying to choose the leader for them after the Prophet ﷺ. Al-Ansar were there. They said, well, we supported the Prophet ﷺ, and we received him, and we should have a leader from us. Everybody was trying, they were talking, they were listening, discussing this stuff. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, being the best friend of the Prophet ﷺ, he said he got the hand of Umar and the hand of Abu Ubaidah. وقال رضيت لكم أحد هذين الرجلين. I accept for you a leader, or I nominate for you one of these two. One of these two. That's what I'm suggesting to you. That's what I'm nominating, who I'm nominating for you to choose from. On the spot, Umar radiallahu anhu and Abu Ubaidah, well, they said, you are the best friend of the Prophet ﷺ. You are the one that the Prophet ﷺ chose to lead us in prayer, and you have been our Imam in Salah all for the last week or so, last portion of the last few days of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, when he was not able to come for Salah to lead, he chose Abu Bakr. So they said, you are our Imam, and everybody elected him and started voting on that, or electing or choosing him radiallahu anhu. Then quickly, because his life is full of stuff, he supported Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and then Umar came after that to be the leaders of Muslims after Abu Bakr. He supported him. Actually, he was the first one that Umar, Khalid ibn Walid was a leader of one of the battles. Umar sent Abu Ubaidah to, he replaced Khalid, who was appointed before, with Abu Ubaidah. Try to imagine, Khalid was one of the strongest leaders, but Umar maybe trusted Abu Ubaidah more. That was, that's something for Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu. And subhanAllah, when he reached there, he actually gave him the letter from Umar, and in the letter, Umar simply said, I'm appointing Abu Ubaidah to be your leader, to be the leader of the army, and you support him. Khalid radiallahu anhu, he was the one that came out to announce it. Khalid, even though he was replaced, he was asked to leave, he came to people and he said, well, Umar chose the Amin al-Ummah to be in charge of you guys, soldiers. Umar chose the trustee of this Ummah, as with his nickname, with his title, to be in charge of you. فَاسْمَعُوا لَهُ وَأَطِيعُوا. Listen to him and obey him. And it was the turn of Abu Ubaidah. He said, Wallahi, I'm a witness that Khalid ibn Walid sayfun min suyufillahi. Khalid, your ex-leader, who just talked now, is one of the swords of Allah that he used, the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he used against his enemy. They were praising each other, and it was so simple and so easy, even though one of them replaced the other and so on. Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, he died, مات في طاعون عمواس. He passed away in the plague that hit on this area of Sham. Thousands, actually tens of thousands of people died in this pandemic disease of the plague that hits this area so hard at this time. Abu Ubaidah was there. Actually, he was subhanAllah, the leader of the army that conquered all of this area of Syria, the greater Syria and so on, Amr, and he was there. Umar, when he heard about the plague hit so hard in there, he asked him, he said, when this letter comes to you, I ask you by Allah, if it comes to you in the night, just leave and come to me. I want you seriously, in a very serious issue, come to me in Medina before the next day. And if it comes in the day, leave before the night. So when Abu Ubaidah read it, he knew that Umar just wanted to save him, because there is nothing to be done. He said, he sent back to him and he said, أنا أستحلك من عزيمتك. You ask me, and I hate not to listen to you, but I ask you permission not to, I ask you to give back this order, because this is my people. And I shouldn't leave them in a situation like this. I'm staying with my people, with Muslims. Whatever happens to them, happen to me. I'm not that kind of person who would, when something happened, or a problem, or something, I'm not that kind of person who would leave and who would, just go away to rescue and save himself. And he decided not to leave. And subhanAllah, he got a ta'un, he got this disease, and he passed away in it. صلى عليه معاذ بن جبل. He prayed the salah for him. رضي الله عن أمين هذه الأمة. رضي الله عن صحابة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أجمعين. ونسأل الله أن يجمعنا بهم على خير. May Allah gather us with them in goodness, inshallah. صلى الله عليه وسلم محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم.